Ideas. They're more than just ideas. They are a testament to originality and resourcefulness. Malaysia has shown, time and again, how ideas transition into greatness. So, what if all ideas had a shot at standing tall among the best? Great ideas aren't always perfect. Disruptive ideas rock the status quo. Big ideas are often belittled. Creative ideas are often scorned. But no matter where ideas come from, whether labs, classrooms, or mountaintops, or even our struggles and motivations, these inspired visions deserve everything it takes to accelerate change with the new return on ideas. Because every masterpiece has to start somewhere and needs room to grow. So now is the time for the seeds of ideas to mature and strengthen and highlight the value of Malaysian ingenuity as we reach for new heights together as a nation and forge the return on ideas. To all fellow innovators and game changers, we are here for you. Ideas to impact. Ranti.
Greetings and salam sejahtera. Welcome to the launch of Engineering Challenge in conjunction with Meranti World Virtual Engineering Day 2022. My name is Ramesh and I'm the host for the event today. I'm the Executive Secretary of the Malaysian Invention and the Malaysian Association of Creativity and Innovation, and also a member of the working force for STEM for All Makerspace. Now we are pleased to live stream this event from our STEM studio at STEM at Daman Mall. Okay, and for the third consecutive year, we are celebrating World Engineering Day, thanks to the support that we've been receiving from the Institution of Engineers Malaysia. And this year, the event is much more grander, thanks to the support that we've been getting from Meranti. Now, we are very honored to have a panel of distinguished engineers from IEM with us today to excite us about what World Engineering Day is all about. And we are also very privileged to have the Chief Ecosystem Development Officer from Meranti, who is an advocate for innovation and technology, to be with us today as well. Okay? Students, parents, educators, let me take you through the program that we have lined up for you today. Okay? Now, we'll begin with the introduction of the celebration of World Engineering Day, and this will be presented by the Vice President of IEM, Engineer Yao Chow Fong. Okay, I'll introduce to you shortly what he is going to be talking about. Right. Next, we'll hear Encik Safwan, and he will be talking about why Meranti is very excited about celebrating World Engineering Day. And before we launch the two challenges, we've got two experts to talk about the theme of the World Engineering Day Challenge. One is on the biomimicry, and the other one is on Geodesic Dome. So we'll hear from Mr. Sam Gibbs about what Geodesic Dome is all about, what is the idea or behind this competition as well. And then finally, we'll have two persons to talk about the competition rules itself and take your questions. And that will be that will be talked by the young engineers from IEM. All right. So with that, we will introduce you to the first speaker, and let me read out Engineer Yao Chow Fong's brief profile. Okay. Engineer Yao Chow Fong has more than 20 years of working experience in many large and reputable consultant firms. He has established his own M&E consultancy practice. Engineer Yao has an extensive role in the Institution of Engineers Malaysia, the primary organization encompassing the professions in engineering in Malaysia. He has been involved in IEM since 2001 and currently is the Vice President heading the Standing Committee of Activities. Right? And with that, I would like to present this space to Engineer Yao.
Thank you, Mr. Ramesh, the coordinator of today's event. First of all, a wonderful morning to Encik Muhammad Safwan Muhammad Zairi, the Chief Ecosystem Development Officer of Meranti, fellow Meranti members, as well as also the IEM coordinators, Engineer Ma, Ms. Chong, and others as well on the screen. I'm indeed honored to be given a slot here to share about the World Engineering Day, and as well as also a little bit on the Institution of Engineers Malaysia, IEM itself. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the World Engineering Day for Sustainable Development was proclaimed by UNESCO at its 40th General Conference in 2019. Now, it is celebrated on 4th March of each year since 2020 as a UNESCO International Day of Celebration of Engineers and Engineering. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the World Engineering Day itself offers an opportunity to highlight the engineers and engineering's achievements in our modern world, and as well as also improve the public understanding of how engineering and technology are central to modern life and for sustainable development as well. Now, the 4th March is the founding day of, as well as for the World Federation of Engineering Organization, WFEO, a federation consisting of more than 100 members, including IEM. Now, it represents the engineering society of the world, and a World Engineering Day for Sustainable Development has been celebrated annually from 2020 onwards. Now, with the WFEO has initiated the establishment of World Engineering Day in 2018 as part of the 50th anniversary celebration of the Federation. Now, one of the president of the World Federation of Engineering Organization, Dr. Malin Kanga, has said in her speech, engineers aren't very good at articulating the value of engineering and the impact that engineers and engineering have on society. Now, Engineering Day or World Engineering Day provides a wonderful opportunity to talk about these aspects and engage the community in the work of engineers. Now, the celebration of World Engineering Day is an opportunity to promote engineering as a career, especially to young students and of course kids as well, so that they can change the world to a better world in the near future. Now, the day is also an opportunity to engage with government agencies, just like Meranti, and industry to address the need for engineering capacity building, as well as also promoting quality of engineers around the world, and of course, promoting engineering solutions for sustainable development. Now, this is also a great deal to be done especially to achieve the UN Sustainable Development Goals in developing countries, to ensure that all of us in the world has access to water, clean water, sanitation, reliable energy, and also other basic human needs as well. There are many opportunities, and the day can be used to engage with young people, and there's a saying, if you want to change the world for a better world, become an engineer. Ladies and gentlemen, IEM has also been actively participating in the World Federation of Engineering Organization, WFEO, since its early inception. And in fact, one of our past presidents is also the past president of WFEO in the early 2000s as well. Hence, IEM has been promoting World Engineering Day throughout the year. And this year, we are indeed glad that we can collaborate with Meranti to organize or to co-organize some activities during World Engineering Day. Now, in fact, besides the engineering challenges, IEM will also be organizing its first ever engineering exhibition called Engineer 2022 from March 16 to 19 this year at the KLCC Convention Center. Now, this event, the exhibition, would also definitely help to nurture young students and children to take up engineering in the near future. Ladies and gentlemen, besides the WFEO participation, IEM has also affiliated itself with international societies as well. Now, IEM is currently also the Secretariat for the ASEAN Federation of Engineering Organization, as well as also the Federation of Engineering Asia Pacific Association as well, two of the prominent societies which comprises of engineers in ASEAN and the APEC region. Now, the purpose of the societies are to look at common mutual understanding of engineering practices and technology, sharing as well, and also assist in mobility of engineers in the region. Ladies and gentlemen, today's event launching at Meranti will certainly bring forward both our efforts in enticing young children to take up engineering as a career. Last but not least, thank you for all the sponsors, the organizers, and committees who have actually made this engineering challenge a reality today. Looking forward for the event, and I wish all the successful organization of the Engineering Challenges event. Stay safe and healthy throughout the period of the time, and thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Engineer Yao. That's what we really want to excite our kids out there, kids and educators, that there's so much of things happening out there, and IEM is one of the oldest professional institutions in the country, and probably one of the largest in terms of membership, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So with that, I would like to thank again Engineer Yao for his opening remarks with regards to World Engineering Day. Okay, so I'll be pleased to welcome our second speaker to talk about World Engineering Day and the programs that we have lined. Let me take the pleasure of introducing to you Encik Muhammad Safwan Muhammad Zairi, Chief Ecosystem Development Officer, Meranti. Meranti is the Malaysian Research Accelerator for Technology and Innovation. Now, a short introduction to our distinguished speaker. Recognized as a drone evangelist, Safwan Zafri is notable in the digital and technology innovation ecosystem. Driven by passion, creativity, and innovation, Safwan has led key management roles in technology and innovation. Over the past 20 years of experience and as an advocate for startup community in Malaysia, Safwan has led the Technology and Innovation Division in Malaysian Global Innovation and Creativity Center, MAGIC, and programs critical to development, technology development, such as the National Innovation Sandbox and the Global Accelerator program. Right, so with that, I would like to pass this space to Encik Safwan to excite us further. I know very casually, I know that this gentleman is most passionate about anything to do with innovation, very futuristic. So I think he's going to excite us further. So with that, sir, floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Ramesh. Assalamualaikum, a very good morning to all. Thank you for the kind introduction, and glad to be here today. Yeah, I think just again, Engineer Yao, who spoke earlier, and to the President of Institution of Engineers, and also the IEM officers, and the Stand for All Makers Space community. Is so nice to be here once again. My colleagues from Meranti, who is also here with me today, and distinguished guests, and I think not forgetting boys and girls who's also tuning in today, yeah, and also the future and to-be engineers. Okay, so welcome to Meranti World Engineering Day, yeah, and Engineering Challenge 2022 activation. I am so excited to be here, and I think if you had the opportunity to come to this place, I think you'll be excited as well. So this event is a significant part of Meranti's inaugural celebration of World Engineering Day 2022 for sustainable development, yeah, in conjunction with the Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation Malaysia's Tech Olympic event. Yeah. The Malaysia Research Accelerator for Technology and Innovation, or in short, as what Mr. Ramesh has mentioned, Meranti, is a convergence of both Technology Park Malaysia and Malaysia Global Innovation and Creativity Center, also known as MAGIC, based in Cyberjaya, to form Malaysia's central commercialization agency. Yeah, so we strive to take ideas to impact by accelerating development of technology as well as innovative solution. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, the role of Meranti as a connector, as an incubator and a catalyst to enable early stage in ideation to mature into ideation to mature entities, yeah, to commercialize as well as catalyze and scale. So we ask ourselves the question in terms of how can we advance innovation in responding to sustainability challenges. Yeah, we're talking a lot about SDG. Yeah, and also now in terms of processes, ESG. Yeah, how can we engineer towards a better future? So a future where it is more sustainable, resilient, equitable to all. Yeah, something that me personally as a father is proud to leave behind for my children and their children. Yeah. So hence joining forces with IEM as well as the SEM for All Makerspace, Meranti hosts the Malaysian chapter of World Engineering Day. Yeah. This celebration will be at the National Springboard to spark action and build next generation innovators in harnessing the power of engineering, yeah, to meet the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, as well as solving global pressing issues. Yeah. So the Meranti World Engineering Day Engineering Challenge is a nationwide multidisciplinary competition that empowers both teams of youth, yeah, to put ideas for sustainability in one of three focus areas, which is smart technology and systems, water and food, as well as medical and healthcare. Yeah. So as how we are inspired by the Meranti tree, where the name comes from, yeah, to look at the tallest side of inspiration, as well as the far-reaching root of our ecosystem need. This will be an engineering challenge that looks to nature for inspiration, yeah, for sustainable engineering solution. This is biomimicry in engineering solution, yeah. And we hope that initiative galvanize a new generation of creative, innovative, and globally responsible engineers and innovators that considers social, environmental, and economic implication into their innovation, yeah, to activate the full potential of engineering. So, in fact, the challenge is among many activities that Meranti World Engineering Day celebration. So others include, we're going to have Power Forum, Pocket Talks, pop-up makerspace. So I invite all of you, yeah, fathers, mothers, boys and girls, head onto our website and social media pages, yeah, at My Meranti to understand our efforts further, yeah, and register yourself now at worldengineeringday.my, yeah. So all in all, we believe in the future for on engineering for impact. Yeah, we believe it has never been more crucial for young engineers to be engineers, like yourself, to be aware of the power and possibility in closing the gap towards the 2030 deadline. Together with Meranti as your innovation partner, it is now time to accelerate ideas to impact. Yeah, and be part of the movement towards the sustainable goal development agenda. And I would like to thank you again for joining us today. And again, do not forget, register yourself at worldengineeringday.my. Yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Safwan. I see the connection now clearer. Meranti being very, the ecosystem of biomimicry, so it's a very exciting point because today's theme for the two challenges are very much nature as well, trying to connect with the SDG goals. So with that, our next presenters will talk about these two exciting challenges, right? So let me once again thank Safwan and his team. He's got a very dedicated team from Meranti who's assisting in putting together these wonderful programs for the benefit of all students and teachers and educators and parents out there. Let me quickly say that, one of the challenging issues is that students, are not having enough materials or access to be inspired about, or even the career scopes. Because of the current situation of lockdowns, there is lesser interaction or engagement with the industries, for instance, or visits to certain places to be inspired. Therefore, we hope that this program will be able to bring some kind of a direction or motivation for children to take up certain disciplines. For instance, in engineering. Today we are celebrating, or rather we are going to launch the celebration of World Engineering Day. Now, let me quickly go to the next speaker, and this is a very interesting speaker, and he is a good friend of ours. It's Mr. Sam Gibbs. Mr. Sam Gibbs is the content development specialist of a company that he has formed called Streamline Education. He has got more than 20 years of experience in organizing programs, conducting activities for kids in all aspects of STEM. Okay, that's from space science to engineering to coding, and there's lots of exciting projects that he has done. So Mr. Sam is going to talk about the first challenge that we're going to launch later, and this challenge is about Geodesic Dome, the competition is in fact called Paper Geodesic Dome Challenge, right? So with that, let me pass the space to Sam to talk about Geodesic Dome. Please.
Thank you, Ramesh. Selamat pagi, tuan-tuan, puan-puan, belajar, belajar, kanak-kanak. It's a pleasure to be here. Very nice to have an introduction. Thank you, Ramesh. It was a great privilege to be here and work with the team from STEM for All Makerspace and the colleagues who you've brought in to help with the competition.
Very much.
Just a quick introduction from my end is that I'd say right from the start is that there's no point in people's lives unless you live in a cave that engineering doesn't have some sort of impact or influence on your daily lives. And I think one of the things I've noticed is that there's so many very smart students out there who have so many hopes and aspirations, and not only do you depend on engineering at this very point in time, but we depend on you to find those new solutions and new problems that are coming out in society today, and we look to the young people to stimulate their interest in engineering, because without that stimulus, the world will not be, the good place to live in that we enjoy from the benefits of engineering. So one of the reasons I've always been fond of engineering is because not only is it amazing, but it's also fascinating. It solves problems, and one of the situations today is I'm here to talk to you about the Geodesic Dome build competition. It's got cash prizes.
Very much,
Lots
yes.
of cash
Exciting,
prizes.
exciting cash prizes.
Exciting cash prize, but it shouldn't be the cash that that sort of is the main driver of this. It should be your passionate interest in engineering. So what we're going to do is to outline a bit about the Geodesic Dome build competition. I've got a short presentation I'd like to do for you today. It's going to be a great competition. It's relatively straightforward, but what we're looking for is innovative solutions from the students who would like to participate. So let me get started straight away.
Sure, please.
And I'll go through the PowerPoint just quickly with everybody here. As you can see on screen, I've got the PowerPoint's ready to run. As you see, the start of the competition is essentially the Saturday the 9th of February. That's correct?
That's
the
right.
official start day.
That's today.
That's today. Good. It is, isn't it? Funny about that. Okay, so here we go. The launch of the competition goes today, and it's about building a geodesic dome. So I want today to introduce you to what exactly is a geodesic dome. So we'll get, without any further ado, it's essentially a very strong STEM, science, technology, engineering, mathematics project. And what we're looking for is your sense of passion and innovation to meet this challenge. And without any further ado, we're going to get to the first slide. So geodesic domes, the question is, what is a geodesic dome? Well, a geodesic dome is made up of different geometrical shapes. And as you can see here on the screen, I've got this is called an equilateral triangle here, and if you put enough equilateral triangles together, you get what's called a hexagon, which is this shape just here, and a hexagon, as you're probably aware already, has 6 sides to it, okay? And probably most of you have heard of Pentagon before. I mean, there's that place in the United States they call the Pentagon, where all the security specialists live. Well, that's the Pentagon over here. This is the Pentagon shape. It's out of camera, but just across the side you can see the pentagonal shape, and if you look at it, it actually just has 5 sides. And these in general we call polyhedrons or polyhedra, and polyhedrons were in fact discovered by Greek philosophers well over 2,000 years ago, when they were looking into the structures of geometry. So polyhedra has been with us for a very long time, but it's only until more recently that we've used these polyhedra in more specific applications in the 21st and 20th century. And might I add here that polyhedra is everything that happens in 3D games is based on polyhedrons. That's one thing you must remember. It's a very important shape because most surfaces in games, all those textures that you love to play around with. In fact, there are polyhedra hiding behind those textures. So this is a very important element of game making as well. Anyway, we move on. The next slide, as you can see here are the geodesic domes I'd like to start with. They come in different sizes, and just by example, this is a little cardboard one here which we think is really beautiful. It's made out of triangles, as you can see, just as I showed you before, the equilateral triangles, and these can be fitted together to form what we call hexagons and pentagons. Now, if you look carefully, you can see a hexagon inside this shape here, and if I just point the hexagon, you can see it just where my finger is touching the side now, and if I go a little bit lower, you can see the pentagon just there. So you can see this incredible hemispherical shape is made from a combination of pentagons and hexagons, and these pentagons and hexagons come in triangles. You see the triangles here of actually two different sizes. This is what we call a two-frequency dome. As you can see, the domes come in many different shapes and sizes, and the very largest one at the top of the screen there was in fact one of the original domes built by a gentleman called Buckminster Fuller. He was an amazing guy. I'll tell you more about him in the presentation. Let's go to the next slide. Here it is, the man who discovered, well, how do you say, used polyhedra to make the first dome was in fact a German optical engineer, and he built the first planetarium using a geodesic structure in 1922. So it was very important for him to understand that we were actually only recently using these structures as early as 1922 to actually build geodesic domes. We move on because the story gets a bit better, okay? Here we go. 2,000 years previously, we had philosophers and mathematicians in the Greek Empire at that stage who actually built and discovered different types of geometrical shapes, and I have some of them here, and as we call these are called the Platonic Solids, and by example, here's a Platonic solid here. This is a cube, and you can see all sorts of different ones. You'll see them over here. We have what's called the Octahedron here. It's got 8 sides to it. I better put that down there so you can see it properly. There it is, the Octahedron there. It looks a bit like a diamond. I wish it was. I'd be very rich if it was. Okay. And then we have the icosahedron here, which is, the dodecahedron here. Beg my pardon. Which is once again one of the Platonic solids. And these essentially are made up of what we call tetrahedrons. This is a tetrahedron here. Okay. So these shapes were actually discovered by early Greek philosophers. We have obviously a very important man called Pythagoras to thank for that, and later on Plato, who came a little bit later, used these solids to actually create specialized geometric shapes. So this is the basis of all geodesic structures is in fact these solids here, okay? So we need to know about those solids in advance, and we'd love to see some research on those solids if you're doing a competition and project. Okay, so the person who really made geodesic domes famous was this gentleman here. His name was Buckminster Fuller, or Bucky Fuller as they called him, and he was the one who popularized the idea of geodesic domes. And as you can see, he actually experimented with all sorts of different geometry. He was an architect for most of his life, and a scientist, a public, activist. Yes, thank you, that's the word I was looking for. Very famous man, so much so that even they have named a molecule after him, which has a very similar shape to the geodesic domes that you can see on the screen here. So Buckminster Fuller was the one who popularized geodesic domes, and he's still well known. His name normally comes up as the inventor of the geodesic dome, but as we know now, that wasn't actually the case. He certainly had a lot to do with its development. Okay, moving on quickly. How am I going for time? Are we okay?
5 minutes more.
5 minutes, okay, we can do this. You can see that the geodesic dome has been used throughout the world to do amazing projects, and just by example, I've actually seen myself this silver dome here over what we call the Cité des Sciences in Paris. It's actually made up of thousands of small equilateral triangles. It's a geodesic dome. When you're standing next to it, it's just like, oh my goodness me, what an amazing structure. You can see it's been used in many, many different building structures. And the reason geodesic domes are so efficient is because they are strong. They're made out of triangles that don't actually flex or move. And when you build a geodesic dome, it's a very, very solid self-supporting structure. And you'll find that yourselves when you do your projects. Let's move on a bit more. Here it is. This is some information on the technical side of geodesic domes. You need to understand this. All domes have what we call a frequency. And as you can see from this diagram here, is that the frequency of the domes is 1F, 2F, 3F, 4F. You will do the research to find out a little bit more about frequencies of domes, but essentially what that means is how many sizes of triangle are you going to use to build your dome. We recommend you start with a 2 frequency dome. It's the easier one to construct. If you really think you want to go up to 3 and 4 frequency, by all means, we're not limiting you, but your option really should start with the 2F and begin from there, and then see if you can take it up a stage more with the 3F or 4F frequencies. It's very important to understand this is a critical element of building geodesic domes, so you will need to do research on this. Furthermore, here it is, the 2 frequency geodesic dome here, and we call these things spars. These are the pieces that actually make up the dome itself. This is a 2 frequency dome, and you can very easily see the hexagonal points of the dome just here, and if you look just here you can see the pentagonal shape of the dome as well. And don't forget, these are made of different sized spars that need to be connected together in a special format. All right, and then we move to the Mr. Buckminster Fuller. This is the, what do you call it, the bioengineering that we were talking about beforehand. And yes, there is a molecule made up of carbon atoms, which is exactly the same as a geodesic dome. But the question I want to ask you here, and you can see it just down there, what famous game is played with an object that looks exactly like a buckyball? And this is a buckyball, you have it just next to you here. What game do we play worldwide that uses something that looks like this? You'd be surprised about the answer. Finally, this is some of the competition guidelines that we'd like to put in for you. What we're looking for here is how you manage your projects, and especially how you manage technology. I won't go through all the detailed lists here. You can find it or stop the video when it's later put onto the YouTube channel. But we really would like to see teams focusing on their work usage of materials, especially safe and well-managed environments. We love to see people using special tools without damaging yourself or other people. That's very important. Always remember, safety comes first. It's a big thing in engineering. We would like to see you try to do creative work or use ready-made patterns. This is one pattern here that I was working on, and as you can see here, if I remove this, this is in fact an example of a dome which I built last night at very early in the morning, burning the midnight oil, as I say. But this is just an example of what a geodesic dome could look like as a project. But please don't limit yourselves to this. We want you to really explore the idea of engineering with domes. So this is just a sample I built here for...
And that's on entirely paper, right?
That's all done with 120 gram cardstock. I got the template printed out yesterday afternoon, and I was up to about 2 o'clock in the morning snipping and gluing. It was very like, oh my goodness me. But it's good. I really enjoyed doing it, but it takes a bit of skill, it takes time, it takes patience, and you need to make sure that you have a good team behind you. Okay, let's move on quickly. I'm running out of time now. People are beginning to go to sleep in the audience. There we go. Just some outlines of how your projects should look. It really is important to follow these guidelines, because by following them you will actually be, copying the engineering process. And that engineering process is essentially part of this competition. We want you to become engineers and try and work as teams, just as engineers do all over the world, from whether you're working at NASA or you're building a condominium. It's all the same. Engineers work as teams, and they generally try to make sure the outcomes are very much supported by teamwork from individuals with different experiences and skills. So we look for that in this competition to emulate what we call engineering. Okay, to finish up with here, the last part is, this is just a part of a dome build here. I'm going to sign off now and let you watch just a little bit of an example quickly of how this works. I'm just going to make sure I can actually get the video started. Just one moment, please. I seem to have lost the control of the video, unfortunately. Here it is, here we go. And you can see this gentleman's making a very beautiful dome out of paper. It's rolled up into small tubes. It's a 2-frequency dome. You can see it's all been speeded up. So what we'd like to see is teams working on these projects. We want you to record your work. We need to know what you're doing, not just with the finished project, but how you've managed the project as you work through your competition output. So please remember, it's not just about the dome, it's about how you present it to us as well, because we want to see the project as it evolves and develops. So keeping a record of that is really essential. But as you can see here, pentagons, hexagons going together, we've explained a bit about that already, and what you can see is a really beautiful dome taking shape. It's quite a big dome. Don't be limited on size. We love to see different solutions brought out here. Don't be limited on materials. Don't be limited on innovation, because that's what this engineering challenge is all about. We wish you all the very best in your efforts, and we look forward to seeing the results from your efforts as you send them to us, and we wish you well for the competition, and hopefully we'll be handing out a great cash prizes to the winning teams.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Sam. That's been a wonderful sharing session. So this is what we really like to encourage you. So I think through Sam's sharing session, you're able to see how simply Geodesic Dome, and he's also explained the science, the technology behind it, right? So, but the most important thing that Sam has mentioned is your imagination, right? There's tons of lovely examples, and you guys are great. You can search the net and come, as long as the rules, you follow the rules, that is paper domes. It has to be a geodesic structure, right? So if you can just get that right, you will be definitely in the running for the prizes.
I think that would include cardboard too, do you think?
Yeah,
cardboard
paper,
is paper,
very much,
cardstock paper.
Very
yeah,
much.
yeah.
Later, we will have the team from the engineer IEM to go further on the rules regulation. Yeah.
Good.
So yes. So, but I think cardboard definitely falls under the category of paper. Yep. So we'll go through the details on the competition itself. This session was to just share with you, to excite you and to let you know what Geodesic Dome is about. Right. And this video, as mentioned by Sam, will be on the YouTube, and you can refer it later, right, to get things better if you wish to.
You can stop and start the YouTube to go back through the PowerPoint.
Exactly.
So we're looking forward to seeing
Yes.
those great outputs, and
True.
creativity is
Yes.
the big part of it too, isn't it? Engineering.
Very much.
is
And in
about
future,
creativity. Yep.
in future, if there's more interest, you can see Sam using STEM for all, T-shirt. That's because it's going to be part and parcel of our team, and he's going to conduct more programs here. So any guys at any schools, any kids interested, will definitely follow us. We'll be doing more programs with Meranti, and hopefully there'll be more opportunities for you to participate in future activities. Yep.
Thank you
Now,
very much.
with that,
Thank you.
thanks again, Sam.
Pleasure.
We'll go on to our next presenter to talk about the next topic of the challenge. So as mentioned earlier, we have got 2 engineering challenges. The first one is paper geodesic dome, or which I think we have not meant. If you have not mentioned, it is meant for school students. School students ranging from 8 years right up to 18. Yeah? That is for the Geodesic Dome challenge. And now we have another challenge called the Biomimicry Engineering Challenge. And this is meant for college and university students, right? To do the introduction for what biomimicry in engineering is all about, we have another very passionate advocate of engineering as well as STEM. So let me introduce to you our speaker, Engineer Ma Siu Ken. She is the appointed corporate member, Women Engineers section in IEM, right? And she has been very actively doing programs jointly with us meaning STEM for All Makerspace, and also many other organizations. She's very passionate, and she'll find the time to make sure that excitement in engineering is brought to you. So today, she is going to take us through engineering biomimicry ideas, right? So with this, I'd like to introduce, pass the floor to Engineer Ma.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ramesh. Good morning to all the ladies and gentlemen, parents, students, and all educators, and all the audiences that are watching us now. Okay, thank you very much also to Meranti for giving us the opportunity to play an important role in this engineering challenge. So today, I'm going to go through what is engineering biomimicry. That will be the theme of our competition for our engineering challenge this year, okay, in conjunction of Meranti World Engineering Day. So, engineering biomimicry, ideas for sustainability will be the theme of our engineering challenge for university and college students, okay? And I'm from Women Engineer section. Okay. So, okay, let's look at Malaysia. Malaysia actually has one of the oldest tropical rainforests in the world, okay? We have a very complex system, a very high intact ecosystem. So what if we look at this nature, we preserve the nature, we look at it through our eyes on a different angle? What for us, this rainforest, for some of you there, it might be a place for us to relax, to go for vacations, to travel, to reconnect, to relax, right? But in engineering and innovation, this huge rainforest is actually a very complex ecosystem, okay, that can serve as our reference model, that can serve as our library for what actually works in the nature, or perhaps a world that really works and that actually can sustain itself, okay? Mother Earth has billions of years of history. What if we take this nature as our model, as our measure, as our mentor, okay? Model means we look at the nature as what it works and what it doesn't work, right? We look at nature as a place, not just for us to extract certain things from the nature, but we look at it as part of the place that can teach us about a lot of things. And we use this to actually apply it to engineering principles, okay? On measure means we look at our measurement in a different eyes, right? We measure it as we use an ecological standard as our measure, okay, to ensure that our innovation is sustainable. You see, engineers, actually, we develop systems that last for hundreds of years. And it's very important we make sure that we develop systems that are sustainable. Okay, for mentor, we look at nature as our mentor. Okay, it's not just that we learn about nature, but we also understand about deep principles about how nature works, and see how actually we apply it to engineering principles to design innovations that are sustainable. Okay? So in a way, we look at nature in a different eyes, especially most of the time we engineers design systems that are very rigid. And when certain things change, the system might collapse sometimes. Okay. So innovation is actually the oldest process on Earth, right? From the billions of years ago, you see there are evolutions of the organism, evolutions of the species. There are also changes to a lot of things to ensure that species survive. So in a way, species that survive until today, right? They have gone through all this evolution process, and they are very good at innovate in a way that is the natural evolution of it. So why don't we look at these examples and we take it as our model for us to look at new ways how we design our innovations and engineering systems. So in a way, what is biomimicry? Okay. Biomimicry, in short words, is actually the conscious emulation of nature's genius. Conscious means, what is conscious? Conscious means we actively seek solutions that is sustainable. Okay? It's very important that we always keep in our mind that we actively seek solutions that are sustainable. Emulation means that we does not only copy from nature, we understand the deep complex principles in nature and we apply them into engineering, okay? So nature will give us a lot of lessons that we can learn from it. So we learn the lessons from the nature. We learn how to apply it in our innovation, in the systems, the infrastructures, the processes that we are going to create or build. And we should also give thanks to nature for giving us such a beautiful nature for us to enjoy, right? Okay. So if we look at it, to make it simple, there are 3 types of biomimicry, right? One is actually the form. So you can see sometimes a structure, a building, an architecture, we actually copy the form from nature, okay? The form and the shape. If you see a bullet train, sometimes it looks like the wheel. If you look at the aeroplane, it might look like a bird, right? Then the other type of biomimicry is process. For example, we look at the leaves, how they grow out, become so green, how they actually have the photosynthesis. You will learn it in your biology class. Okay, so we look at these processes and how do we actually emulate them. And also in the system level, the last type of biomimicry is we are going to mimic nature's ecosystem in the system level. For example, nowadays, if you go to certain shopping centers in Malaysia, the new ones, right, they use the natural lighting, they have the garden, okay, they build up. So in a way, they are mimicking in an ecosystem level, okay, in a nature-inspired design. Okay, so for example, let's look at how we actually learn from certain things of the biomimicry, right? So I give certain examples for the students out there. Okay, for example, this is an electric eel. Electric eel is actually a knife fish, okay? It's a real fish, yeah? It's not really a robotic one, yeah. So how does actually nature produce electricity if you look at this, right? So you see, this electric eel, right? It can produce up to 600 volts of actually voltage of electricity. That is a lot. That can really shock us, you know, give us a very, very hard shock and crude shock, which we don't like it, right? So how does the nature, but one thing, how come the fish still survive the electric shock? The fish doesn't even get shocked by the electric shock, right? Because if you study it, you will see that the fish has a lot of insulating fat, right? Fat is an insulator, although most of us try not to eat so much, but definitely fat is a good insulator in this case. So we will look at this. Okay, of course, there are certain things we must consider in engineering perspective, right? I also cannot have a whole tank of aquarium at my home to produce the electricity I need, right? So we will need to learn from it and look at certain processes and how we actually tune it. Okay, so for example, how does nature reduce drag, right? The design of wind turbines, the design of this, many of them are based on the humpback whales. Because if you look at the humpback whales, the picture at the bottom right corner, they have scallops or the edges, okay? This kind of design actually reduces drag. Right? So you can see some of the design the engineers made, the innovators made, that actually take consideration of how these animals actually can actually swim so fast or travel so fast. How they reduce the drag. Okay. So for example, for humans, our ears, right? Our ears, okay, for doctors, definitely it's a complicated system, right? Ears, nose, ear, and throat, okay, is a very, very, very important specialist, and it's very important for us. But for engineers, we look at how the cochlear functions inside, right? And actually, we can produce the chips, electronic chips that actually can listen to very low frequencies using very low powers, using fluid mechanics, using piezoelectric, and so on. So how do we actually come up with the idea? So we need to make sure that we actually be more interdisciplined. We have the curiosity. We understand how things work. Nature has a very interesting way, okay, of ensure that any species or organism, okay, we will survive and continue to survive. Okay. So another example, right, is the woodpeckers. You know, if you have seen long time ago, I think nowadays it's not so popular. There's the woody woodpecker cartoons, right? If you look at the woodpeckers, they like to pick wood, right? They really bump their head to the trees. Imagine if we bump our head to the trees, right? What we'll get? I think I will get a brain concussion. We do get, especially the trees are so hard. So why do these woodpeckers doesn't get a brain concussions? Well, this is actually not, this session is actually not supposed to be, it's not any science class or engineering classes. It's just to ignite your curiosity. So reach out to us and we can tell you more, okay, for this. So we can use this design, what's inside the head, how it's actually structured, to design, for example, safety helmets. Okay, so this is one way when we actually look at it and how we design the helmets. Okay. Another thing is Spider-Man. I think recently this year or last year we have the Spider-Man movies, right? It was one of the Marvel comics that also I love most. Okay, so you see, spider webs. Certain spiders produce a spider silk that's very, very tough. You know, if in the human size, some of the spider silks can actually really, you know, if we form it in a mesh, can resist a bullet. Because the spider is actually, I think, 6 times stronger than steel, if we look at the strength of this spider silk, okay? But of course, it's not human size, it's so small, right? That's why the next time you actually remove a spider web, think about it, right? If it's a human size, it's very strong, we make it, it is so much more powerful than we human beings, okay? And spiders also very important, they're spider glue, right? They are spider webs that produce a very strong natural spider glue that make sure that spiders can, other animals that can trap it and can't get away. But there's one interesting thing. Why don't spiders get trapped in the web themselves? Yeah? I think I need to go back and Google this out, right? It's a very interesting design, right? If you trap other people, if I do something like that, I think I will be also sticking to the spider web, okay? So these are the natures that we actually, wonders of nature that we actually can take lessons from, okay? So these are also the robots inspired by nature. So we look at certain starfish, right? They are very mobile, how they actually pick up things using, okay, their things. We can inspire some robots. So there are a lot of animals that we look at their design, right? So to ensure how we can control the robots, how is actually the design of it to ensure that the robot can perform what we want. Then we look at this Mantis shrimp punch. I think this looked like a punch for me to drink, but actually that was not the intention, right? You know the Mantis shrimp, that their punch is very powerful, okay? If by measurement it's about 1,500 Newton of force per punch. Imagine we get punched by that. Imagine if I punch people with that kind of force, I think I will also get hurt. There's also another interesting thing that mantis shrimp, they don't get hurt when they can actually launch such a powerful punch. And the speed of the punch is also very high. It's 110 kilometers per hour. So if you look at the structure of it, on the right-hand side, there's this structure that's on the arms of the mantis shrimp, right? How complex it is to absorb, you know, when we punch somebody, we will also maybe fly away if it's too hard, that's a reaction. So how they actually absorb the reaction. And a mantis shrimp punch, you know that, you can actually, with one punch, they can knock off the arms of a crab, or they can actually punch inside the shell of a turtle or something like that. It's very powerful. Okay. So what I would like to tell all of you, ladies and gentlemen, is how we actually look at nature and we find our ways, our strategies in problem solving by looking through the eyes of nature. Okay, so the next time you go for vacation, either in the Mulu caves or either in the beach on the side, okay, look at what those natures are trying to tell you, right? Okay, of course, continue with the Instagramming and taking photos and selfies and wee-wees. That's also very important. But we also sometimes put it aside to look at nature and actually how it works and what it's trying to give us, okay, a role model for us to learn. Okay, so the last part I would like to say our focus area for the engine challenge this year will be on 3 areas. One is on the smart technology and systems. Okay, nowadays it's very popular. Everything is smart, right? Connected to the internet, interconnected. The second is actually food and water. Okay, and the third is actually medical and healthcare. Okay, so that will be the 3 focus areas here. Okay, and to conclude, I would like to quote this important quote from Albert Einstein. Imagination is more important than knowledge. The first thing we come up with imagination first. So that's why our competition challenges, we will focus on idea, concept. We encourage all of you to join us and show us where your wildest imagination is. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Engineer Ma. That's most inspiring. So I think you mentioned ignite curiosity. I'm very ignited. I'm sure the audience out there too are very ignited by what you have shared. So this is what we want to let you know, biomimicry in engineering, leading to the competitions that we are going to launch, right? So there's ample of interesting information, and all these are points of inspiration to arouse your curiosity. And as what the quote shared by Albert Einstein, imagination is more important than knowledge, right? So there's lots of imagination that you guys have. This challenge is to bring out that inspiration, and we would like to see that. And of course, we have got some exciting prizes to be rewarded for the good ideas, right? So with that, I would once again thank Engineer Ma for this wonderful sharing session, and we'll go on to our next presenter, right? In fact, that will be the final presenter, and that presenter is going to talk about these 2 challenges. So let me have the pleasure of introducing our speaker, who is going to talk about the rules and regulations about challenge 1 and 2, which is the challenge for biomimicry in engineering, as well as the challenge for the paper geodesic dome. Now, our presenter is Ms. Chong Poo Ying, and she's a committee member of Women Engineers section in IEM, and also a very active member within the Young Engineers section. As you can see, she's very, very young, and she's very passionate. She has done some activities at our place, and I can tell you it's very inspiring. She kind of like loves to show the principles of engineering through experimentation, experiential learning, right? So, and today her role is to talk. She's going to lead this challenge anyway. Yeah? She's going to be one of the leaders. She has got a dedicated team, and she's going to share with us about the works being done to organize this engineering challenge, both the challenges, right? So the first one will be talking about the paper geodesic dome challenge, right? And the second challenge will be about biomimicry ideas for sustainability, right? So with that, I pass it over to Ms. Chong.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ramesh, for the wonderful introduction. So, yeah, we'll be having 2 different challenges in conjunction with the World Engineering Day, hosted by Mantis in partnership with the Institution of Engineers Malaysia and also STEM for All Makerspace. So these 2 very interesting challenges will definitely be related to what was presented by both of our speakers today, who is Mr. Sam Gibbs and also Engineer Ma.
Okay, all right. So, go ahead, please.
So yeah, the first challenge will be the paper geodesic dome challenge, and I believe just now from the presentation done by Mr. Sam Gibbs with regards to geodesic structures, you have an idea what you should build already, I'm sure. So for this challenge, it's open to school students aged 10 to 18, and for each team, there should be 4 to 6 members. So for this, it's all about your creativity in creating, a paper geodesic dome structure using paper, of course. You can have rolled up A4 papers, or you can even have cardboards. And the whole idea of this is to create the most innovative paper dome structure. And it can be of any dimension, any design. The only thing that you just need to construct it with paper. Remember, paper, no plastic straws, no metal straws, no toothpicks or whatever that is not paper. And the idea and design consideration for this challenge is, of course, simplicity in design and structure, because in engineering, it boils back to basics. Sometimes the simplest thing can solve the most complicated problem. And of course, creativity, originality, and also uniqueness is also very important, because in engineering, definitely we need a lot of creativity, innovation to come out with solutions, unique solutions to counter all the problems or solve any day-to-day issues we have. And also, for the design of the product, what is the rationale and what potential applications we have for the design. So this is in terms of innovation, what we can do with the design. For example, perhaps it can be the future building that can withstand a very great earthquake. So, of course, everyone will be very, very interested to know what the prizes are. So for the grand prize, it's actually worth a total of 2,000 ringgit. So it's 1,000 ringgit cash, and also add on with 1,000 ringgit worth of STEM programs. So STEM programs such as coding, then we have your robotics, drones, 3D designs, and etc., which will be offered at the STEM Forum Makerspace. Alright, so not to forget, we also have special prizes, who will be 3 different teams with the cash prize of 100 ringgit each, and also 100 ringgit worth of STEM programs. And if you are interested, do take note of the closing date. It is on 28th February. And if you would like to know more or register, please visit the Google form by scanning the QR code or heading towards the link provided in the poster. Alright, for the next engineering challenge. So for this engineering challenge, which is the Biomimicry Idea for Sustainability Challenge, it is open to all college and university students. Let me repeat, all college and university students. Does not matter you are in diploma, you are in degree, you are in masters, or even PhD, because for this challenge, it is actually really, really interesting. It is actually an, I would say, idea competition. So what happens is actually, because Mother Nature is the best place that we can find innovative ideas, get our ideas, as mentioned by Engineer Ma earlier on. So where participants will come together in this competition to come up with creative ideas and solutions by incorporating the concept of biomimicry to conceptualize innovative, sustainable solutions in alignment with the United Nations Sustainability Development Goals, the UN SDGs. We have 17 UN SDGs in total. So if you're not too sure about it, do hook up Google and get to know about it, because it's the current most on topic, I would say, UN Sustainability Development Goals. And of course, for this competition, the focus area of the Biomimicry Engineering Challenge are smart technology and system, food and water, and medical and healthcare. So these 3 focus areas will be our main theme for this year's competition. So a little bit more about the rules and regulations. Teams should consist of 2 to 4 members per team, and it is open to all college and university students, as mentioned earlier on. So you can be an engineering student, you can be an account student, you can be a business student, a QS student, or even, a medical science student. Anyone can join this competition. So videos submitted by the participants should contain the process of the whole idea generation up all the way to the idea finalization phase. So you do not need a prototype for this. For this competition, we are judging solely on the ideas generated. We want to hear from your creative minds, your very curious minds. How can you incorporate biomimicry to solve problems? And Definitely, there will be attractive prizes awaiting you. So the grand prize total up to 5,000 ringgit, where 3,000 ringgit will be cash and another 2,000 ringgit worth of 3D printing certification program offered by Ranti is up for grabs. And same as the previous challenge, if you are interested, the closing date is on 28th February. And to know more, do visit the Google link provided in the slides by scanning the QR code or just clicking on the link. So I guess that's all from my side, Mr. Ramesh.
Thank you so much, Puing. Yeah, I think that was a very good explanation. That was very clearly understood, or at least from my perspective, it was very clear. But again, I'm very biased because I've been very involved in this entire process of preparing this wonderful challenge. Maybe there's a lots of things that students or parents or teachers would also want to find out. Therefore, we will be having a Q&A session to answer these questions, right? Or maybe something that is not very clear that we have overlooked, we welcome you. But we've got answers, we have prepared all the answers to answer whatever curiosity or whatever uncertainty that there may be. Now, to do that session, firstly, let me thank again Ms. Puing for this wonderful session. And as I mentioned, she's a very active member in IEM, and she can inspire more kids, especially the younger kids who are quite not sure of themselves or not sure what field to go into as a career. Then I think you can definitely get in touch with the Young Engineers section. You know, they're a very inspiring lot, I must say. We have done lots of activities, and thanks again to Ms. Chong Puyi for this wonderful introduction to the World Engineering Challenges.
Thank you so much, Mr.
Thank you,
Ramesh.
Puyi. Thank you. And we will move on to our third or the final sessions, right? And this final session is a Q&A session. Now, this Q&A session is to give an opportunity to the audience out there to inquire and to find out if there's anything that is not clear, all right? We will have two presenters to actually take you through this or to answer your queries, right? The persons to answer this, they are both from IEM. Let me introduce to you one of the lead person who will also be heading this competition will be Encik Muhammad Ashik Marikan, and he is the Vice Chairman of the Young Engineers Section. Yes, Young Engineers Section, yes. I think it's a very powerful statement. They are all there to say yes, all right? So it's a very good abbreviation for IEM's Young Engineers Section. And he will be answering your question together with Engineer Ma Siu Kian, who we heard earlier. Okay, so if we are ready, we can open the floor to question. Nowadays, I find it very difficult to say floor because there's no more floor. It's a space out there, right? So I have to say, so all our virtual followers, can you please prepare your questions? You can share it on the chat box, and if you are watching through Facebook, through the YouTube, and the presenters here will be able to answer your questions. Are there any questions so far in the chat box? If no, maybe we can just discuss about what we expect from the students. Maybe Engineer Ma, you like to share some of your thoughts. What's your expectation, or what would you like to see the students submitting, or do's and don'ts? Share your thoughts, please.
Okay. For Engineering Biomimicry Challenge, the competition is actually open to all college students, tertiary education students, vocational students, and all other students, college and university out there. Okay, so below 30 years of age, because that's the categorization for youth. And we look at actually ideation, concept. We do not require you to actually build a prototype. Okay, and if you see, there are many people, some of my friends who directed the question. So what if I have a diploma student competing with a PhD student, right? For us, there's only one category. It's a general category. It's open, because what we look at is the ideation, the concept. for ideation concept, I believe that it's not limited to whoever you are, so it does not really matter. We are not a research-based competition with complicated research, and the pitching is very important. For example, today engineer before we for example biomimicry, right? It's not. I think that it's not so well known in Malaysia as well. Okay? To create awareness, to actively, consciously think of sustainability in our design, we need to reach out there, put up our awareness out there. So it's very important that imagination, as I said, imagination is very, very important. So be wild with your imagination, create the ideas. There's only one open category. And I believe for the secondary school, is it the same for secondary school Geodesic Dome, Mr.
Yeah,
Ajay?
actually, we are not limiting them, just like how Engineer Ma mentioned just now. So this will be open to all, as long as their age is within 10 to 18 years. So it can be a school student, secondary student, and also vocational student as well. So as long as they are, the idea and design consideration for the engineering challenge will be like, it should be just like mentioned by Ms. Pui. It should be simplicity in the design, and also should be creative, and then the originality and uniqueness will be taken into the consideration. Yeah, and then the number of people, if 4 to 6 members, so within that range we are this is the main requirement. So as long as your final product is touched within the 3 key things that focus areas that mentioned just now by Engineer Ma, which is on the smart technology and system, food and water, and also medical and healthcare, that will be pretty much fine for you to be eligible for this challenge. Yeah, I think that's all for the.
Yeah. Okay,
yeah.
that's good. So we have a general sense of the competition guidelines. I see a question there posed, Engineer Ma, would your eyes be sharper than mine?
In biomimicry challenge category, how long the video should be made? Because maybe some of them got a lot of ideas to present. Wow, I would like to congratulate Adam Hasnan. Wow,
Very
you
good.
have a lot of ideas to present. That is very, very good. That's just what we need for our nation. But for biomimicry challenge, maybe you just present one idea, right? Because we focus on one idea. In a short video, less than 10 minutes, maximum is 10 minutes. Do not cram everybody, because our judges are human also, and they might get too confused which idea you want to present.
Yeah.
Select one idea, okay? Or maybe you can tie yourself up with many teams and present your idea there.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a good question there. Very forward-thinking questions. Yeah. So I think the point here is that the time limit is 10 minutes. So no matter how many ideas that you have, it has to be 10 minutes. And the point that Engineer Ma has said, if you put too many ideas, you're going to confuse the judges, and therefore you're not going to get their attention. Therefore, the question that I'd like to ask, is it possible for them to have multiple entries? The same team or different team, can they have multiple entries?
Definitely, multiple entries are encouraged.
Very
We
good.
encourage as long as all the as many entries as your team can give. There's
Great.
no limit on
Okay,
entries.
so which means if you've got many ideas, you can submit many entries. That's most welcome. All right, that's a very good question. Do we have another question there from Clarissa, is it?
What is the minimum duration for the video presentation? Well, Clarissa, I think I know you. Okay. There's no minimum duration actually. We will not specify as a minimum because we believe ideation, a concept, presentation is a very fluid thing. But I believe if I give you 1 second, you will not be able to actually present your ideas, right? So maximum is 10 minutes.
But
Thank
as
you.
long as I think to add on Engineer Ma's answer, as long as within 10 minutes, how compact is your video presentation you're presenting? I think that will be also much added value to that.
Yes.
For
True.
the what do you call it, on the consideration on, I think, for the rubric marks, I think.
Yeah, perhaps.
yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
So I think that's the part. I think 10 minutes is your maximum time. I think as long as you can plan within that time, is a special. Things I think to add on some, how to say, some marks for them. I think.
Yeah,
Yes.
definitely.
So the answer is there is no limit in terms of the minimum time, all right? But again, what I would like to share is that it's your effectiveness in presenting it. If in 10 seconds you can pitch, that's why sometimes they call it a pitching. So it's the skill of pitching, and you have to put yourself in the shoes of the judges. What is it that is going to give the judges the edge, that yours stands out. So it's all down to your pitching skill. So if you're a good presenter, in fact, the rule of the thumb is the shorter it is, the better. Because in a short period of time, you can influence and you can impress your audience that, look here, I've got a great idea, right? So no limit, but the shorter, the better. As long as your information could be delivered effectively within the duration of the video. All right, so I hope that's clear. All right, and Engineer Mark, can you please read out the next question after Clarissa?
I think there's no more question.
No more.
She just say, he, Miss Pa, ha ha ha. Hi, Clarissa.
All right.
And
So you've got a very strong supporter and a fan out there as well. All right. So I don't see any more questions, but is there any other things that you feel that you would like to address,
maybe our Yes Vice chairman would like to give some words of encouragement how secondary students can use this to connect with Yes.
Yeah, actually, thanks for Engineer Ma and also Mr. Ramesh for the very good introduction on the YES Young Engineer section. So basically, Young Engineer section under IEM, we are working towards on promoting the engineering and about everything about the engineering to the younger members. So basically, engineering is making a lot of changes to our world nowadays. No matter anything, I think whatever that we are seeing in our things around here is all engineering related. It's just that we are putting up some new terms that. So one of the key start for this engineering towards for the engineering towards going towards the engineering pathway, I think is could be this challenge. So I believe that Yes is quite doing a lot of activities, and also we are promoting on these activities and workshop related to the STEM. So I believe that with this launch of engineering challenge, this would help those participants out there, no matter whether you are a second school children or university student or tertiary student. You can have opportunity to be part of engineering. On the coming up with the final product, which definitely your your imagination, your idea will be used to solve our current issues being facing by us. Could be anything. So I believe take this opportunity. So don't miss out. Even though your single modification or your output on your imagination will help on those helping as a solution for those challenges that we are facing today. So yeah, that's all.
Yeah. Okay. That's
all the best to all the participants out there. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Jashik.
Mr. Ramesh, there's one more question. What if there is an actual actual prototype? Can it be still presented in a video? Okay, I think I'll answer this. Definitely, you can, based on your prototype, you explain your design, your ideas, and maybe your future improvements if there are certain things that you cannot put into the prototype. Just that our judging will be based on how you communicate your ideas, say your concept, and that's to actually have a prototype is not a requirement. Yeah, thank
Great.
you.
Yeah, so prototype is not compulsory, but if you have one, it will be an added advantage. The only challenge is that you only got about 9 days from today to the closing date, right? So if a prototype can be developed, well and good. And of course, it's a teamwork. So, you know, for engineering students, if you've got access to your lab or if you've got a maker space within your university or college, excellent. I think that's possible today. 3D printings, have reduced the rate in which one can create a prototype, the time that is required, right? So, good. So that means it's welcome.
Yeah, just to make a note, the challenge, engineering challenge, is open to all science, physics students as well, yeah? Mm.
Okay. Is there any other questions further that to Clarissa? No, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, there is one question that we had received. In fact, Mirinda received this question through text yesterday. Is there certificates given to the participants? The answer is yes, because we are conducting this jointly. So there will be certificate of participation. That means the moment you register and you submit, don't expect to register and don't submit and get a certificate. It doesn't happen that way. You must be serious, get your submission online, then that will entitle you to a certificate of participation. We'll have about 10 shortlisted. They will be given another certificate of recognition or a certificate of award, in fact. Okay, because the shortlisted ones will receive a certificate of award, and the grand prize winner and 3 will of course be named as the champion grand prize winner, and first prize, second, third, and third prize winners. So yes, and this certificate will of course carry the endorsement of very reputable and distinguished organizations with IEM and Meranti. So I hope this will then give you some added credential, for students. This may be helpful. School students, they are looking for co-curriculum activities. School teachers are looking for activities to introduce. So what's going to happen after this? We will share this session. All right. I think many of them are still not fully aware of what's happening today. It's okay, because we'll be sharing with them this link to watch about these 2 challenges. And then teachers in particular can roll it out to their school students as part of their co-curriculum activity. So hopefully then we'll be able to receive a good number of entries and be able to select the winners. All right. I don't see any other questions in our chat, group chat. So perhaps we will round up this session today by inviting the 2 guests here to have your final say of your expectations or your advice, to the audience or the students who are going to participate in these 2 engineering challenges. Engineer Ma first. Okay.
Yeah, I would like to encourage all of you to submit your participation. It's a video less than 10 minutes. Be creative, right? If you upload many videos in the TikTok, Instagram, I'm sure you can do this one. Okay, just look at it through the eyes of nature. Think about the ideas that actually you can gain from it, and do join us. We would really love to have you together with us in this engineering challenge, and we are very happy to have Meranti to host actually Meranti World Engineering Day, Engineering for Impact this year. We hope for more collaborations in the future, and we hope that next year we can also celebrate World Engineering Day together. So we also need all of your support. Do submit entries to you. All ideas are good, okay? Put up submission, make it assignment, right, that you have to do these 2 weeks, and submit before the deadline. Thank you very much.
Thanks. All right. Good thing. Assignment. Okay. Ask teachers to use this as an assignment. Right. Excellent. To you, Chair Ashik.
Yeah. So basically, my final word on behalf of IEM and also yes, thanks to Meranti because in the partnership with the IEM and also STEM makers. In conjunction with the World Engineering Day, so we are doing these engineering challenges. So even though like previously we used to do in a physical way, so this years we do it in a virtual hybrid mode basis. So basically for those who are school students specifically, I would say that now you are learning up on how to say living with the new mode of learning, like e-learning, like e-stuffs. So as just mentioned by Engineer Ma, you can those teachers, lecturers can use this as a assignment for some of the subject which relates them to coming up with some proposal design, imagination, some ideas on some solution based. So you can, those who were not able to meet up, because this requires a teamwork. So this is not only like a one person ideas, it's a collaboration of few members, because each of the team members can input those ideas to coming up with a better output. So that's our main intention of this engineering challenge basically. So don't feel that you are restricted, even though the pandemic limit us in terms of your physical interaction to have like a conversation, all that. You can try to use your virtual, as I think now our learning basis are moving towards on how to say, like a blending basis. So all will be like virtual. So you can use a virtual platform so to have your discussion and also to coming up with the proposal idea. So try to use and then in a very effective way. So your output is how to say should be as simplest and also most effective way to be presentable. So and also we are looking forward to meet you all in our in the upcoming weeks. I think in the next, I think we will update you. Do follow us. Do how to say, like a follow up with our how to say, whatever the social media. So to know more about the key updates. So wish you all the best. So thank you.
Thank you, Ashik. So what she said is teamwork. Yes, I think that's a good way to go forward. Teamwork is what. That's why we have put the conditions of at least 3 to 6 members in each of the groups. That's very important. And virtually, there's a lot of materials. What Ashik mentioned is visit the websites. We will be sharing with you our official website for the World Engineering Day, and you just have to log in there, and there's lots of information. In fact, future upcoming activities, after we do this, we're going to have a series of pocket talks, we're going to have a forum, and also for selected engineering students, they can physically come to Meranti to experience World Engineering Day. All right, so these are for the privileged few, because of the social distancing and a lot of SOP, and we don't want to be responsible for bringing large crowds, selected number of students. So to be able to participate in those events, please log on to our World Engineering Day website, which will be shared with you by our technical crew in a while. With that, I would like to once again thank our speakers for sharing about the World Engineering Day challenges. And on behalf of Meranti, the organizer of the World Engineering Day 2022, we'd like to express our deepest appreciation. And I believe this is just the beginning. There's going to be a few activities that I mentioned. Please stay tuned, and we will be sharing with you all the events that's going to happen. And also, the World Engineering Day is also a platform for even greater things to happen at Meranti. Right? So we are pretty excited. When I say we, meaning the entire makers community, not just them for all. My partner William has got access to the makers community, and they're all looking forward. So we are using the World Engineering Day as a platform, and the innovations that you're going to share today, or going to start today and present it to us by the 20th, hopefully one of it or a few of it can be fabricated, right? Using the makerspace and the facilities at Meranti, we can probably turn your ideas into something physical. That will be what we are really looking forward to, right? So with that, I would like to finally express our appreciation to the technical crew in our STEM studio at STEM for All Makerspace in Daman for making this live stream possible. Thank you, Daryl and his team, and we will be signing off for now. Terima kasih.
Thank you.
Bye.